Today I'm going to flip English football on its head. Quite literally. And that's because I've taken all the Premier League teams and I've put them in the National League, England's 5th tier. And all the clubs from the 5th tier are now in the Premier League. So today is a race against time to find out which of these Premier League teams can get back to the Premier League and how many of these National League teams can win the Premier League before the big boys get back in the big league. Theoretically, it should just take 4 seasons for the Premier League clubs to get promoted back to the Premier League, and then season 5, they actually start to win the Premier League again. And so will these National League teams like Aldershot, Altrincham and Barnet actually be able to build a good enough team in that time to compete for a Premier League title against teams like Liverpool, Man United, Man City, Chelsea? And will those original Premier League clubs be actually able to keep their big players to actually win them Premier League titles down the way? Or will they get distracted by the fact they're playing in the National League and want to move to Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich? I've also flipped League 2 with the Championship, so we've got a full pyramid flip. So as you can see here in the Championship, we have original League 2 teams. Looking into League 1, League 1 stays the same because it's right in the middle, but then again, League 2, we've got all the original Championship teams. Just a note as well, I am using the original database from FM22, so it is the same teams from the 21-22 season and the same players from that season. Nothing's updated in terms of a data update. So let's dive into season 1 and have a look at the Premier League to see who's won the title. It's Grimsby. And as a Lincoln City fan, that is literally the worst thing that could have happened. I mean, congrats to them, I guess. Congrats to them, but that's not what I want to see. Can I stop the experiment now and just restart it, please? Solihull Moors, Wrexham, Aldershot and Stockport County make up the rest of the top 5 in the Premier League picking up European football. But interestingly, only the top 5 get European football, which does suggest that someone else has won the FA Cup and the League Cup from outside this division. The FA Cup was won by Liverpool. They won at 2-1 against Leicester, as you can see there in the final. And the League Cup was won by Peterborough, which again is another rival to Lincoln City. And then also in European football now, which is not what you want to see. The National League was won by Manchester United in an absolutely dominant season, picking up 109 points. And in the end, Liverpool go on to win the playoffs. We'll already check next season to see what the result was. So Liverpool and Man United promoted. Lukaku with 23 goals though, Kane with 22, Salah with 20, not bad going. Bernardo Silva with 14 assists, same with Kevin De Bruyne. So Man City will feel very aggrieved they've not been promoted. Should also point out as well that obviously there's 20 teams in the Premier League, and at the start of this save file, 23 teams in the National League. So we could only put 20 teams into the Premier League from the National League. So the bottom 3 teams in terms of reputation didn't make it to the Premier League. They were King's Lynn Town, Weymouth and Wealdstone, and as you would expect, they've been relegated. Going forward, the National League does go back up to 24 teams, but because they get promoted from the National League North and South, those 4 teams, I imagine, are going to get relegated every single season automatically because they just will be the worst teams in the division. So sadly, Brighton, Palace and Norwich will not be getting relegated. So heading into season 2, the Premier League this season is not won by Grimsby, but it's not much better because Forest Green Rovers won it, and I'm not a fan of them either. So Forest Green, Bradford and Exeter, the promoted teams from the Championship last season, they've gone on to just have a clean sweep, basically. Grimsby holding on there to a Champions League place, I suppose the title would have done them really good in terms of reputation, would have brought some money in. Have they been able to strengthen their team nicely? Let's have a look at their team. I mean, they brought Jack Rolls in. He's new, but by looks of things, they've not been able to bring in like a massive great talent despite having Premier League football and Champions League football, and that's probably because their reputation is still quite low, still under 5,000. Ordinarily for a Champions League team, you're looking 8,500, 9,000 in terms of reputation. So looking into the National League, Man City have got promoted this time around, Chelsea alongside them via the playoffs. Arsenal must have won the FA Cup because they've got Europa League football. Congrats to them. Wout Weghorst was absolutely dominating the scoring charts here with 25 goals this season for Burnley as they finished 14th. He's so good in Football Manager. Every single season, he's always right up there in terms of goals. But obviously, we want to focus on Liverpool and Man United, who dominated League 2 this past season. They've got another 2 seasons to go until they can get back into the Premier League, so congrats to them. Would have expected Salah to score more goals though, only 23 across the season against Championship level teams. I imagine he'll score more next season if he does stay at Liverpool. Seems like they are being able to retain a lot of their very good players. In fact, this team looks virtually no different to what it looks like in real life. So good job to actually keep these players. Okay, so the game is loading right now, the next save file, but I'm not going to show it to you until you guys press the like button and subscribe if you're new around here. We're not far from 50,000 subscribers now, so I'd like to hit that pretty soon before FM23 comes out. So take your time. I can wait for you all day. It's my video. I control the editing. I can wait all day. If you pressed it, brill. Thank you. Cheers. Season 3 and Forest Green Rovers have done very well to retain their title. They've done it again, beating Sunderland, Bradford, Rotherham and Portsmouth to the title. Exeter drop out of the top 5. Notts County, very unfortunate not to get top 5 football at all in this save so far. They've been right up there every single time. Grimsby dropped down to 10th, and actually what we should probably do is have a look at their Champions League runs from this season where they finished bottom of their group. Oh, you hate to see it. You love to see it, really. But the season before actually picked up a point with a 2-2 draw at home to Ajax, so at least they've done something in Europe. Dropping down into League One, and as you can see, Man United and Liverpool absolutely dominating as you would expect, but no one actually coming up in the top scorer chart, which is interesting. Dropping into League Two, where we saw Man City and Chelsea, they win the titles and second place quite comfortably. And if we look into the National League this time around, West Ham have just won the playoffs against Newcastle, promoted alongside Arsenal. Season 4, and this is the last time a non-ordinary Premier League team should be winning the Premier League table. This time, it is Bournemouth who finished top of the pile, 3 points ahead of Sunderland, 4 points ahead of Bradford, and Forest Green finish on 66 points. Halifax there in 5th place as well. Very good for Halifax, actually, to actually overtake teams like West Brom, Portsmouth, Blackburn. So obviously, Halifax have really strengthened massively since they started this experiment. Now, I'm looking down this list of players, and I'll be honest, I don't really recognise many of the names. Fabio Silva, I recognise him. Michael Elise, I recognise him. Maybe this shows my lack of ball knowledge potentially. Joe Gelhardt's in there as well. There's not too many names that I recognise, but obviously they've done a good enough job. Oh, Tom McIntyre, how can I not forget about him? What a legend from the Aberdeen save, one of my favourites. But the reason this is going to be the last season that someone is going to win the Premier League table that's not a Man United or a Liverpool is because they've both now been promoted from the Championship into the Premier League. So next season they'll be competing, and they are still pretty stacked in terms of players. Henderson's still there, Maguire's still there, Van der Beek, Paul Pogba's still there. They've even got Salamancas in there as well, who's a very, very good player. Sancho's in there, Fernandes. Like, they've got a really solid team still. They've not had any trouble with keeping players, and I assume that's the exact same for Liverpool as well. Yeah, it's a very similar team. So looking into the National League, Newcastle win the title ahead of promoted Tottenham via the playoffs. But I am interested to have a look at some of these teams like Leicester, for example, because I'm going to assume they've not been able to keep many of their players. If they're still in the National League at this stage, they won't be able to. And to be fair, they have lost a lot of players, but they have kept the likes of James Maddison, James Justin, Harvey Barnes in there as well. Luke Thomas is still there. So they have been able to keep quite a few of their players, but a lot of them have also moved on. But season 5, this is where we are expecting to see Man United or Liverpool win the title, and they have. Liverpool win the title ahead of Man United, and Sunderland come third. But interestingly, only 3 Champions League places now for the English clubs. And this, I'm going to assume, is because Grimsby can't do much in the Champions League. They've come 4th this season, though, which is very impressive for them. They're still right up there with a brand new stadium as well. The Grimsby Town Stadium, 20,000 seats, finally got it built. I'm sure they've been talking about that for the past 20 years or so. And they have got a pretty decent team, actually. They've got some really decent players. Raya in goal, Worrell and Colwell are not too bad. Gilmore's very decent. They've also brought in George Bello on the bench. He's not bad. So they've got some decent players. But if we look at the Nation Club coefficient, England have dropped down to 5th place, 61 points there. Way, way, way behind France, Germany, Italy and Spain now. And they're actually in danger of being overtaken by Portugal, Belgium, Turkey and the Netherlands. And maybe even Ukraine to an extent as well. So they've got to be careful. Hopefully now that we've got Liverpool and Man United back in the Champions League, it will start to increase. So we've seen those clubs get from the National League back to the Premier League and win the Premier League. This time we're going to go to the end of this experiment 15 years in the future to see what the state of football's looking like. So it's 2036, 15 years on from the start of this experiment, and the Premier League is looking a little bit more normal. We've got Liverpool, Man United and Arsenal in the top 3. Bournemouth have come 4th there. Tottenham and Newcastle round off the top 6, with Man City dropping down to 7th. But there are still some non-league teams in here, such as Notts County, they've come 10th. Grimsby still kicking around as well, and Halifax Town also kicking around as well. So a bit of a mixture, I must say. Not all the clubs have been able to get back, and over time we knew that the longer it took them to get out of the National League, the harder it would be for them to get back into the top flight, and that has been the case. Since we saw Liverpool win it for the first time, they went on to win another 2. City won 2, Liverpool won another one, Chelsea, Bournemouth, City with number 2, and then Liverpool the past time. So actually, since getting back, Man United still haven't been able to win a Premier League title despite playing against Grimsby. The Championship then, West Ham and Forest promoted, Bromley still kicking around in the Championship, Wrexham still holding on in the top half there, Solihull Moors, Torquay United, Exeter have dropped away from the Premier League back into the Championship where they started off this experiment, of course. Sadly not seeing Lincoln City, which is concerning. Are they in League One? Please still be in League One, Lincoln City. They're not. But well done to Stockport getting promoted, Derby getting promoted, Dagenham, Redbridge and Dover are still kicking around in there as well. They've done pretty well for themselves, although that's a lie because that is 2 relegations for them, so actually they've not done very well at all. League 2, that must be where Lincoln City are, and they are 11th place. I need to have a quick look at Lincoln. Did they ever get promoted? No, they just downwards. But Watford, one of the original Premier League teams, only just getting promoted from League 2. It's taken a while for them to get up there. But I think we're still going to see quite a few Premier League teams in the National League. And if we look down in the National League, Huddersfield just lost the title, the playoffs, sorry, I should say. And looking down here, I was wrong. All the Premier League teams are gone. I feel like we didn't come across all 20 of them, though. Have some of them dropped a little bit lower to the Vanarama National League North? They shouldn't have done. I mean, Scunthorpe are down there. Bad luck for Scunthorpe, I suppose. Gainsborough Trinity is still in there. Gateshead have dropped down, but I can't see. No, I don't think any have dropped down then. So I've just obviously overlooked a lot of these Premier League clubs. Fair enough. But I always think these experiments are really fun because it does take a long time for these clubs to get back to the Premier League, and I like to see how the non-league clubs can really establish themselves as a Premier League club. I mean, I hate to say it, but Grimsby, they've done a superb job. Probably the best performer in this experiment, which is really sad as a Lincoln fan to say. At least Halifax have a bigger stadium. They've got a 22,000-seater stadium, bigger than Grimsby's, so Halifax are doing better in that regard, I should say. But no one else has got a new stadium. Apart from Bournemouth, they've got the Eddie Howe Arena, which is only 12,600 seats. They still can't build a big stadium, can they, Bournemouth? But I do really enjoy doing these sorts of experiments, so we could do them in other leagues around Europe. Let me know what you think down in the comment section as well. So until next time, thanks for watching. Have a good one. Goodbye.